Have you ever heard the saying, behind every great man there is a great woman? When discussing the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire, it is important to note that Hernan Cortes is no exception to the adage. It is fair to describe Cortes to have been a man that acted in the wholehearted interest of the Spanish nation. He not only expanded their territory, but also subsequently helped increase their wealth along with his own. On March 12, 1519, Hernan Cortes arrived at the mouth of the Grijalva River to find unwelcoming indigenous people. Despite his attempts to negotiate for peace, the natives continued to be a threat. Cortes made a requisition to disembark. However, the natives refused and initiated combat. He planned ahead and had 100 men attack by land, led by Alonso de Avila. The natives fled to the mountains. The Spanish conquistadors took control of the town called Potonchan. 2 days passed. Cortes and his men marched through the plains to Centala and met thousands of Chontal Maya Indians in battle. The result was unsurprisingly a Spanish victory with their muskets and cannons. Nevertheless, the Spanish cavalry is what truly frightened the natives. After the Battle of Centla, the Mayan leader named Tabscoob sent gifts as per their custom. He sent gold, jewelry, jade, turquoise, animal skins, and more. He also sent the Spanish conquistadors 20 young women, including a woman referred to by several names, La Malinche, Malinche, or Doña Marina, which was her Christian name upon her baptism. La Malinche was initially given to one of Cortes's soldiers as a reward. However, she became an insurmountable asset due to her ability to speak both Mayan and Nahuatl. Cortes took La Malinche for himself and provided her with the opportunity to take the place she has in Mexican history today. Malinche and Cortes never married, despite having a son together in 1522 named Martin. Cortes was a famous and wealthy man in his time, which meant that by legally recognizing the boy, Martin became Mexico's first mestizo nobility. It is for this fact that Malinche is symbolically regarded as the mother of the mestizo race. She is also credited for facilitating the conquest by translating both the language and the culture between native and Spanish people. However, she was only a piece of the puzzle. Cortes recruited Geronimo de Aguilar, a Spanish Franciscan priest who spoke the Chontal Mayan language. Between the three of them, communication with the Aztec nobility was made possible. In one source, titled "The Figure of La Malinche in Mexican Literature," informs us of one of the only times Cortes mentions Malinche in his writing, Letters from Mexico to King Charles of Spain. Open quote. Only mentions Malinche twice. Once Cortes calls Malinche his ever-present translator, and once he credits her with saving his army from the Cholon massacre. End quote. This brings us to the next event she is credited for, discovering the Cholotec plot to massacre the Spanish soldiers. It is a controversial situation. Some experts agree that Cortes went out of his way when heading toward the city of Cholula, while accounts from the time suggest otherwise. To be clear, it has never been said that Cortes was an honorable man or even a good one, which proposes consensus with the former opinion. Regardless, the Spanish received a lukewarm welcome at best. Within 2 days, the locals stopped bringing them food, and the city leaders were reluctant to meet with Cortes. It is said that Malinche discovered the plan when the wife of a high-ranking soldier, one she had befriended, told her to flee the city before the attack. Cortes summoned the city's leadership under the ruse of saying farewell, as he was to continue on to Tenochtitlan. Instead, he accused them of treason and claimed that the king's law decreed it must not go unpunished. A musket shot was fired as a signal to the rest of the gathered Spanish soldiers. Their orders? To attack the assembled crowd of mostly unarmed noblemen. The Cholula massacre is considered to be one of the most ruthless acts of Hernan Cortes. In the modern perspective, it is difficult to determine whether or not La Malinche deserves the credit she is given. The way she has been regarded has shifted drastically, first as a heroine in the colonial period, and then as a radical traitor after independence. Some Mexicanist scholars villainize her for her role in the Spanish conquest, without realizing the implication of such harsh statements. To accept that Malinche acted as a traitor to Mexico suggests that the Spanish version of the conquest is to be deemed as the truth. This is too unacceptable of a notion for two very paramount reasons. First, it has been deduced that often there are biblical undertones to the words of Aztec leaders that suggest Cortes allows himself some creative license with the story. Second, historians have found that according to Spanish law, the king could not demand that foreign people become his subjects. Thus, it is proposed that Cortes was aware of such law and wrote in his letter exactly what his king needed to hear, which was that Moctezuma immediately volunteered to cede his entire realm to the Spanish monarch. Overall, the fact that La Malinche has a place in history should not be determined by which side she was on, but rather her power as a woman from the situation she was in.